welcome in to the new podcast we have on campus. We're going to call it the Football Show. If you wanted to call it something else, me and Zach can't really think of anything. Go ahead and throw down some comments. And, of course, I am Matt Dick alongside the brilliant Zach Mitchell.
Look, you're not even in one of my classes. You don't even get extra credit for this. Like, you don't have to suck up. No, it's we're here to just talk some football.
Yes.
It's middle of September, so we're right after week 1, leading up to week 2 here, and we just want to break down. We want an excuse to talk football.
Mm-hmm.
We want to break down some of our top performers, some of our top losers from last week, and a moment that we think that stood out from amongst all the rest for us. Right. So, Matt, what do you got for the your top performers? What do you got?
Well, I got two teammates. I got Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill.
Nice.
Tyreek Hill, in the first 2 minutes of a game, returned it for a 91-yard punt return for a touchdown, and already had a receiving touchdown. That's within 2 minutes. So that means that this offense is very high paced.
Yep.
And Patrick Mahomes, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns, 66% completion percentage. Did a great job there. This Chiefs team, a lot of people were saying we're going to be mediocre, but I think that game was a statement because the Chargers were predicted to be a Super Bowl contender this year.
True, but you also have to, when is the last time the Chargers were a contender?
But yeah, that's
right.
true.
So
yeah.
it's one of those things of the defense struggled.
Uh-huh.
However, they got some potential to improve and things like that. Great offense. I was thinking, actually, just the other day, my team is really big in video games. You can take legends from any era and combine them together, make a team.
Yeah.
Right. Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Tony Gonzalez, Tyreek Hill would be a nasty offense if you just took from all eras. You know, the Chiefs, Kareem Hunt when he gets going, and then of course Mahomes might be. Who knows how good he's going to be this year? I mean, you just don't know. He's 22 and had a really good game.
Mm-hmm. And my next top performer is, of course, Ryan Fitzgerald. Lots of people say when he has a big game, it's called Fitz Magic. He threw for 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, completed 75% of his passes with 156 quarterback rating, and that's insane.
He was like one completion away from a perfect score, I think, or something like that. Which, by the way, what does that even mean? I don't even know. Like,
I don't get the quarterback rating. I just know it's insane.
Number goes up,
yeah.
he did good. Number goes down, he did bad. Was it Nathan Peterman had like a 0?
Yeah.
I think so. If you're somewhere between Fitzpatrick and Peterman, I think is how that works. No, he did great, and he 36. I think hasn't really played in a couple years because he's been a backup. Leading with his head on some runs, which for a Harvard grad, you'd think, you might want to save the brain box there. But, he really came out and shocked the Saints. Did a great job. Kind of took the football world by storm. They're just kind of surprising. Jameis Winston was supposed to be their best quarterback.
Yeah.
And, and I saw that some people were theorizing that Fitzpatrick has really great game ones because he has so much time to prepare, and you allow anybody from Harvard that much time to prepare for something, they're going to figure out how to beat you.
Yeah.
So they were like, why not just play him once a month? And then so it's like you give him a few weeks and you win every time, so you're guaranteed.
I mean, if you throw for almost 500 yards, 5 touchdowns once a month, I mean, that's
really good. And then and it's one of those things of he had a great performance, and he's clearly at worst a pretty decent quarterback. That does not speak well for the Saints, though.
Yeah.
Because they were considered Super Bowl contenders, I believe, and their defense was thinking that they belonged.
I mean, they had Rookie of the Year in defense and offense with Alvin Kamara and everything. So it's crazy to think that they lost, and Drew Brees still behind center. He's still a great quarterback, but, you got to give it up to the Buccaneers and Fitzgerald. My next top performer is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
People were very scared getting hurt with his right knee, I believe, went out.
Yeah, and they were confused because it was not the same injury, of course, or even if it was an injury.
Yeah.
But a similar situation to back when Tom Brady got hurt versus the Chiefs a little bit. Because if you remember, Tom Brady walked off the field under his own power. And it turns out his knee was just busted to shreds. So, they were thinking like, wow, man, Aaron Rodgers came back from a knee injury for quarterbacks and then had a spectacular performance. 286
yards and 3 touchdown passes. And, of course, him coming back, he only threw for 86 yards in the first half. So for him to come out in the second half, throw to over 200 yards is amazing.
Yeah, and especially off of, like, you go back to the locker room, your adrenaline goes back down. Now, coming back out, who knows, a player might get fired up again, but you take that away, and it's just like, no, he's just going to come out, he's just going to, and it's like, what, I think he had 2 minutes or something on that final drive. You're like, he only needs about 45 seconds.
I mean, and there's only a few quarterbacks you can name that can actually do that. Tom Brady being one of them, of course.
I would say
Peyton Manning was a great
all time, right? Yeah, like maybe like 7 all time that you're like, we're definitely gonna win this thing. Yeah,
and he's not extremely athletic. He's not the quickest guy, but he has one of the greatest football minds.
Well, and I mean, obviously he got a late start in the Aaron Rodgers story. We don't really need to get into that, but I mean, he is older.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, though, he hasn't really aged, like, visually. Like, he looks the same as he really always has.
I mean, you can say the same thing about Tom Brady, too.
True.
Just different haircuts.
That's true, yeah.
Bad haircuts here and there. But
I think once you hit 40 years old, people just kind of know you're 40, even if you look 30. But Aaron Rodgers hasn't really looked different. So everybody's like, yeah, man, remember when the Packers won the Super Bowl and they were considered a young, up-and-coming team? Well, they're still there. They're still really good. They must still be young. Like, that is not how time works. But Aaron Rodgers still... I don't know if spry might not be the right word, but he's active.
Yes.
And he's very mobile, and he can, I mean, I am glad my dream career wasn't to be a coach, a defensive coordinator versus Aaron Rodgers. Because I don't know how you sleep at night. I just don't know how you sleep. How do you prepare for that?
Yes, exactly. That's so true. And finally, my last top performer, the Cleveland Browns. Tied, of course, with the Steelers that didn't have a very good game, but still went out there, performed.
Did not lose.
Yeah, did not lose. And that's the best start since 2016. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think, before that game, they were 1-31 in their last 32 games.
So even then, best start probably in a long time.
Well, it was since 2004. I think they lost the opener to the season for like 12 straight years or something like that. And to piggyback off of that, their fans are one of my top performers. Just because the idea of, like, I support a team that has gone now in the last 33 games 1-31-1. But
how do you watch that?
But I give them a lot of credit. Yeah. Like, I couldn't do it. I don't do it. I would refuse to do it. I'm a KU basketball fan, so I'm just an elitist, right? I like rooting for teams that win a lot. But the fact that they can support it, and they're actually kind of being rewarded. Forget the tie. They got some talented players on that team.
They do. And
when it comes to young quarterbacks, they might have a really good one. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But I'm good on them. I have no idea how many more games Ben Roethlisberger has before the Steelers want to go somewhere else with that, because he didn't do so hot. And then, the Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah, and I feel like that played into it.
I would agree.
He had I can't remember the backup running back.
It was like James Connors or something like that?
He had a good first half.
And he's a great story, by the way. Survived cancer, came back, had a great... And I root for... You can root for him and be like, y'all need to pay Le'Veon Bell. Like, you can do both.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's good to have a good second-string running back. There's no problem with that.
Absolutely.
Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they have They had DeMarco Murray, and then they had, what's his name?
Adai.
Yeah, Adai.
Well, and it's just, in today's NFL, you can't have one dude.
Yeah.
You really need 3 running backs, just because and then they all need to be able to do 800 different things. But, no, the Steelers, I think, might be on the way down. Doesn't discredit the fans of the Browns or the team themselves. Good job on the top performers. The rest, I mean, my guys, I think we hit them all. Mahomes, Fitzpatrick, Rodgers. The only person I had in there was Khalil Mack for my performer. That was different than yours. He was a monster. He was great. I have no idea. I don't really know much about him personally, and I don't know what that kind of situation would be where you're traded like a week before the season starts, and then you just jump into a whole new team, whole new scheme, everything like that. And I think there was even, which was obviously in hindsight completely wrong, but there were some rumors he wasn't even going to play because he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And he goes out there and dominates.
Yeah.
And he's just like, forget it. Like, he's that talented. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need me to say that, but you know what? He's still one of my top performers.
Who knows? He may watch this. I mean, it's possible. You never know. You never know.
Technically, there's a chance. I believe that's the quote. Technically, there's a chance. So who you got on the other side of the coin here, Matt?
Yeah.
Who you got that you would deem a loser?
A loser? Well, we mentioned him about the Steelers being on the down.
There we go.
And Ben Roethlisberger. He did throw for over 300 yards, but when you throw for 3 interceptions and tie to one of the worst teams in franchise history...
That sounds like a loser to me.
Yeah, sounds like a loser, definitely.
Well, and it's one of those things of empty calories, right? 300 yards, that sounds really great, but you scored 21 points. So, most of those points were done on the ground.
Exactly.
So,
he threw for 1 touchdown,
but... So, and it's... the Steelers are a great organization, and they have aspirations to compete for Super Bowls.
Yeah,
and when your quarterback is kind of holding you back, I agree.
And I can't remember the OSU quarterback that they have. They drafted.
I know what you're talking about.
And they drafted him and Washington, which they were both from OSU.
Yeah.
If you think Roethlisberger isn't going to be very good, I would throw him in maybe fourth quarter, and see what he can do, because people have said that he's kind of like a Ben Roethlisberger. They both can throw, both athletic, and they're both big.
Right.
So
same style. Yeah. The team wouldn't have to adjust much. That'll be something to track. If they lose a few more games here before the mid-season part of it, it might be one of those things of, hey man, we gotta see what we got.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's interesting. Who else you got?
I have Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And they got blown out by the Jets, 48-17.
First of all, the Jets have a great history. They're kind of like the Knicks in that they had a great history, and then for my lifetime, they have been terrible. So it's one of those things but because they're in New York, and they used to be good, like, it's one of those things you still have to kind of respect them a little bit, but they're also kind of a joke. I have a negative relationship with Matthew Stafford because the only 2 years I played fantasy football, he was the quarterback, and he would always be like, man, he throws for a lot of yards and touchdowns. But how come I keep losing all the time? Oh, it's because it's like there's a picks here or he's hurt here.
He threw 4 interceptions that game.
That's not great.
Yeah,
that's not great. Yeah. That is Nathan Peterman level numbers.
And talk about Nathan Peterman, we're going right into that.
I threw it up too. Let's see what you got.
Only 24 yards, 2 interceptions, and lost to the Ravens 47-3.
I saw a story yesterday. I think it's the Josh Allen era now for the Bills.
Definitely.
Which, by the way, if you're a draft nerd, that might not be a good thing, because Josh Allen was a very controversial quarterback coming in.
Yeah.
I don't really watch college football, so I don't really keep up with any of that stuff. But I just read a lot of stories of they're like, he's kind of overrated. So now we get to see.
Now this is an interesting fact. Josh Allen is a JUCO product.
Yeah.
So he played in junior college and then went to Wyoming. And so he definitely he proved that if you're in a junior college, you can make it to the NFL. I think it is his era. I think he'll do good for the Bills. Now my next 2 losers, we already mentioned their team. We got the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
I say Matt Patricia is definitely a loser.
Yep.
Coming off, why wouldn't you just stay in New England? I mean,
everybody wants to be the boss, right? Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be a head coach. It's a bad sign when the Patriots go,
yeah,
right. If you're a player and they trade you,
and they go,
well, here's the thing: if the success rate for players leaving through trade from New England is not great.
yeah,
Jimmy Garoppolo had a great end of the last year,
Yeah.
and then now he's 0-1. Which, by the way, he didn't play bad. But
yeah,
it was,
it was eh.
Yeah, it was So we'll see. I mean, he's young, so we
Yeah.
got a lot of time on that one. But for the most part, I would never trade with the Pats. I would never. Like, they call me. No, I don't care. Like, because there's something wrong with the guy, or
Exactly.
it's the system, and he'll be out. Yeah. And the coaching staff that leaves, they usually either end back up in New England, or you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Right. And Matt Patricia wants to be head coach. A decade ago, the Patriots were known as a defensive team, and then for the last 10 years or so, it's all been offense, and defense just managed to hold on.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't hold on against the Jets. So we'll have to see this year, but that's rough.
And for my last loser, I had the Steelers. Just because, just the Steelers as a fan base, because they're one of those teams that, like the Packers, the Patriots, one of those teams that you expect to go out there and at least perform And probably everyone was like, oh, the Browns are overhyped. Well, apparently not. When they come out there and prove to them, I mean, it is a tie, like we said. It is still a tie. But
it's a loss.
It's a loss for the Steelers.
It's a loss for the Steelers, which is how that works in sports. It's all about perspective of where you come from versus where you're at and that type of thing. Yeah, I completely agree. I also have the Steelers as a loser. It just because it's just the Browns. Now, if at the end of the year, let's say the Browns win 8 games, so they go 8-7-1. All of a sudden, not as much of a loss.
Yeah.
But we're only talking about week 1 performance.
Yeah.
Your quarterback threw 3 interceptions, and you still can't figure out your star running back contract situation.
Yeah.
So, kind of a loser on that one. So, was that the for you for losers? All right, yeah. So real quick for me, I have the entire Bills team, just 47-3.
Yeah.
I know Nathan Peterman not good.
Yeah.
The rest of the team didn't do good either.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. And then football is one of those things where if you're like the left guard and the quarterback's bad and the defense is getting up a lot of points and you don't give up a sack, you're going, I did okay. Okay, that's fine. You tell yourself that. The team sucked.
Yeah.
So that they're losers there. I have John Gruden as a loser. And look, I'm not the first to make this point. I won't be the last. People make fun of him. The Raiders lost, I think, both on Monday Night Football, so they're 0-1. Announcers, former coaches going to announcers, back to coach. In any sport, not a super great track record on that one. I think Steve Kerr is really the only one that has and he went to about as great a situation as you could go to.
Yeah.
So now let's give Steve Kerr a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a little different. We'll see. Again, a lot of overreactions in week 1. I'm sure we've made a few here, but just the Khalil Mack trade in and of itself is just not a good move.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So he's one of my losers. I have. And these two kind of tie together, and this one's a positive loser. Okay, I'm going to spin this as a positive because I don't know if this guy is a loser yet, and I would hope not because you mentioned it before. You're wearing the shirt he played at. So, if 3 weeks from now, the Browns keep getting mediocre play from quarterback, and they keep losing or tying games. If they're 0-4, that'll be kind of strange. And Baker Mayfield is not on the field. We can consider him a loser. Because how are you not better than Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah.
Right? For a team that isn't going to go to the playoffs. I know there's various schools of thought with rookie quarterbacks. Do you throw them in the fire immediately? Do you make them wait and learn? All that kind of stuff. If in about a month the Browns are still the Browns and he isn't playing, I would get very worried about him.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, you spent the number 1 pick in a loaded QB draft on him, and he's not playing, we got a problem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if just wait it out, and if he's playing and he's a star, or the Browns start winning games, then it's fine. So he's kind of a possible loser for me.
I agree,
but it's just like,
and a lot of people are like, some quarterbacks respond differently if you throw them in the fire.
Yes,
but I think he went through kind of the same situation at OU when Trevor Knight wasn't doing very well. They needed a quarterback to step up. He stepped up. So in that, I mean, NFL of course is way different than college, but I feel like it's kind of like the same situation.
Well, and again, how much of a quarterback, their success rate comes down to mental aptitude and just a drive to be good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Tom Brady, not the most athletic dude in the world. Right. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's going to be Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey man, you might get some out of him, right?
I mean,
if
Drew
he's ready.
Brees did make the comment that he thinks Baker Mayfield would be better than him. So for him to say that,
but Drew Brees is also saying that. I'm going to say at least 5% of that is because they're about the same height.
Yeah.
And he's rooting for short quarterbacks to be awesome, so it'll make him look
Russell
cooler.
Wilson.
Obviously Drew Brees doesn't care about any of that. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite Sports Illustrated covers is them after the Super Bowl, him holding his kid. So I have a lot of respect for Drew Brees. Yeah, I'm hoping Baker Mayfield never again appears on my loser list. And like I said, he didn't do anything to earn it. I'm just, if Tyrod Taylor is still the quarterback a month from now, of course, we can also go into another argument, and this goes back kind of to my last loser. If the Browns coaching staff has a quarterback that is good on the team and is not playing them, well, that would tell me that coaching staff might be 31-1 in the last 2 years. Oh, that's right, they are. So, coaching staff for the Browns, that's got to be tough to cheer for. Yeah. And that's why my last loser are the Cleveland Browns fans, because it's like, how do you root for them?
Yeah.
How do you put up? And I know. Like I would be tough. I give them a lot of credit because they're one of my winners, as losers is like, how do you even buy a football ticket to go to one of those games? Just save the money.
And they sell out a lot of the time.
Right. Here's what I would do. Crazy. Right. Until they get rid of the coaching staff, I would donate the money you were going to spend on a ticket to charity. Or give it to LeBron James' school.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, that's what I would do. Or like, yeah, it's like, or maybe we start a second school.
And it's crazy. LeBron James, known for winning, he roots for everything Cleveland.
Right.
He loves the Cleveland Indians. He always cheers for the Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
So, I guess LeBron James, partially a loser in this list. I guess, you're going to root for the Browns. Like, it's just, come on, guys. Now, Baker Mayfield starts week 2, and they play well, and they're exciting. Maybe they lose, but they're still, you know what then? The Browns fans will never be on my loser list ever again. It's just gotta be no fun.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we want to wrap it up, but before we do, we want to discuss just one moment from last week that caught our attention, and it could be good, it could be bad, it could be whatever. I'm curious as to see, Matt, what is your top moment?
My top moment is, I'm gonna have to say, when Randall Cobb, 75-yard touchdown. First of all, faked out 3 defenders on that route. It was a beautiful route over the middle.
Yep. And
won the game. I mean, that's big coming back. They didn't score whatsoever in the first half and come back a 20-0 deficit and come back and win 24-23.
It was a huge play.
Yes.
It was an awesome play. Beyond clutch. Yeah. And it kind of put a staple of like, man, the first week of football was kind of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of big plays. Awesome moment.
Yes.
Mine is the opposite of that. So, my favorite moment of week 1, and I happen to be watching this live when this happened. It was Vikings 49ers, which was a mediocre game. It was okay. You know. It's at the very end of the game. The Vikings have the ball. The Niners are down, whatever they were down. And it's like 4th and 1, 4th and 2 or whatever. And you see this all the time in football. And I can't imagine this ever works, except for like junior high football. The offense, not in field goal range. They're obviously not going to go for it. So they all line up on the line of scrimmage, and it's just a hard count. And they just try to get the defense to jump off sides.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to run a play. They got a timeout left. They're going to call a timeout when the clock runs all the way down, and then they're going to punt. Well, the 49ers, I don't remember the guy's name, but one of the defensive linemen, apparently doesn't watch football very often, or forgot that moment, because what did he do? He jumps off sides.
Yeah.
And then this is a cool part. This is a nerdy part of football. When a defensive lineman goes across that line of scrimmage, but if he gets back in time, it's not a penalty. So what does the offensive lineman do? He stands up, thereby making sure that the referees have to flow a flag and get the defense for that. So it's a very heads-up moment on a very non-heads-up moment. And I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm like, I'm a nerd. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's very rarely in football, football, that nerds get to be like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there like, wow. And then that's just tough.
He had to have practiced it to be like to.
He was the lineman was locked in because it's like, by the way, that takes guts, because if you stand up and they're like, no, you false started.
Yeah.
You just cost yourself. I mean, it's really only 5 yards, but it's one of those things. But he had the awareness to go out and stand up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty good to be on it that way. So that was my top moment.
That was a good top moment.
It didn't affect the score. It didn't actually count for yards or anything like that. It was a offsides penalty for 5 yards at the end of the game. That just I'll be interested to see if that situation happens again. The rest of the year. So Matt, pretty good for our first episode for the football show. We're hoping to do these once a week, be a rotating cast. I'm hoping to have it just be a student podcast at some time, but I'm always down to talk football.
It's fun. It's fun with you.
It's
I'm
not too bad. Well, again, Matt, you're not in my classes, so you don't have to say that, but I appreciate it all the same. We hope you guys enjoyed watching, listening, and however else you take your media content, and we'll be back for more action with more top performers, losers, and new top moments in week 2. See you guys next week.
See ya.